And we're on.
All right, guys. So welcome back to the Unpopular Playground. I'm Ramon. We have Jen here with us today, and Debbie couldn't make it, so it's just me and Jen, and that's okay. So we're talking about emotional regulation today, and our continued talks about stress management and boundaries and all that good stuff. We're gonna talk about emotions and how to kind of control them and deal with them, especially when they're all over the place and how it affects our lives. So I'm gonna have Jen kind of kick things off and start us off here. What's up, Jen? What you got?
All right. Well, the first thing that comes to mind when I hear emotional regulation are two things. First is a 2-year-old toddler on the floor screaming, give it to me, give it to me. And what do you see right now? You see grown ass men and women doing the same thing. And I guess I don't recall it bit that term, the coined term being called a Karen until like closer to 2020-ish is when it really became viral.
Wow.
And so that's kind of when I think it was used in the restaurant industry, the Karen, because she was always
Oh,
the one that was never satisfied and always, bossing the servers around as if, she had nothing better to do. Like she's Gordon Ramsay coming in, critiquing everything. And when she can't get her way, she wants to talk to the manager.
yeah.
So, and they have that now everywhere. Basically, when people don't get their way, they think that screaming, shouting,
Mhm.
being loud, and reacting in a childish way is going to somehow change the laws or change the rules because some people have let them get away with it for so long. They believe that they can get that way with police, with other authority figures and other places. And when they're told no, they just lose their shit.
Yeah,
There's no other way to put it.
like that toddler that you first brought up. One thing that comes to mind when I think about emotional regulation, and I didn't bring this up in our last conversation about stress management, but I think it would probably apply here is fear, right? So if you look at these stories and videos and whatever, all of them online about so-called Karens acting out. And by the way, I always felt bad for people whose name was Karen because like every
Oh,
I've ever
poor
known was
Karen.
like sweet. You know what I'm saying?
No, a lot of good Karens.
I mean, if your name was Karen and you're a decent person, hey,
This doesn't apply to you.
sorry about that. But anyway, back to fear. If you kind of look at what's going on in these altercations, to me, it stems from they're scared because they're either afraid of something happening or something not happening, right? Feel fear. So the Karen, quote unquote, remember, not all Karens are bad, but anyway, the Karen is lashing out at that cop or that store clerk because she's afraid. And you got, if you spot that, or if you have someone, coming at you like that, how to see it in a different way so that you can maybe handle that situation. If someone's coming at you like that, and the first thing you should probably think about is like, this person's afraid of something, you know, and like, what are they afraid of? And then if you're doing that, let's say, because I mean, we all have to learn to control our emotions at some point in our life, right? If it's you who's doing that, then ask yourself, like, what am I afraid of? Like, what's going to happen that's going to just totally mess my life up or in my day? Or what am I not going to get that I think I'm entitled to, owed, or whatever? You know what I'm saying. So for me, it's just like the main thing is fear, right? And then after that, it probably goes back to what we talked about in the last episode about stress management. Like, how are you doing? Like, are you getting enough rest? Are you eating right? Are you taking the time? Like, remember 15, 20 minutes a day. That's it. To sit in the quiet, right? So it all goes back to like those two things. So first and foremost for me. What about you, Jim?
Look, and then I also have to say that as you were talking, it made me think about the times when, you know, people aren't satisfying their end of the bargain and you have to come to a resolution on something and nobody seems to want to help you and you're so frustrated. And I know what I do if I have to call and resolve something. And after I go through that phone loop of recordings and I finally get to somebody, I always try to preface it with, look, my frustration is not with you. But here's the issue. I'm angry about this and this and this and this, these points that have not been taken care of. And I'm just, I'm trying really hard not to lose it. And none of this is personal to you. I always try to preference it so that they don't think that I'm upset with them because I want them to help me. That's been a great solution, at least handling it over the phone or even in person. I just like, look, I've not been able to get any help anywhere. I have this and this. I'm not personally upset with you, but I am angry. I'm visibly angry because this issue hasn't been solved yet. And it's not right because I paid my money and I didn't get the service, or I did this and I didn't get the result that was promised. Somebody dropped the ball.
Right.
And how are we going to solve it? And when they act like they don't care, that escalates me up to another level. It's like, okay, so, and then what I try to do is like, okay, I can see that you're not able to help me. Can you find somebody who cares?
Yeah.
And if they don't, then I just try and go above them and I end the conversation with them. The key that somebody told me to remember is always think responding, not react. And responding like an adult is being able to have the conversation in a normal tone, and being able to speak with complete sentences. Ask for, can you help me solve this? I think I gave an example before. Inside your head is your prefrontal cortex is right here, and your anger and all your emotions are here. And when you're angry and in an emotional response, if you're reactive and all of your emotions, you're that upset, the thinking part's right here. It's not available anymore. So when you calm down, then your prefrontal cortex is back and you're able to think clearly. I use the balance app. I think you can get it free for a year. It's got waves. It's even got little stress management things. I got it free for a year and I pay for it now because I love it so much. It does help with my stress management when I wake up, and it changes progressively as it goes on. And I know that when I sit and even listen to the waves on my break at work, be like, okay, I got to get away from this. And I just put on my headphones and I bust it down and I listen to my beach waves and I just go relax in another place. And then I'm able to regroup and come back refreshed. And
Yeah.
so that's what I would offer.
All right. Good. And I want to piggyback on what you said about that app and why it works. I don't think people realize why it really works, and it's simple. So whenever you have one of those apps or just anything, either on your phone or like in your house where it makes noise. I know some people just use a phone app that they'll turn their dishwasher on and have that low roar of the dishwasher going in the background, or they'll turn the ceiling fan in one of your rooms where it makes a little noise, like a ticking noise. Whenever you have things like that, like a fan in the background, a dishwasher running, waves on your phone, any kind of white noise, the reason it works because you're focused on that sound, not all the other crap. You're not thinking about who hurt you or did you wrong that day. You're not thinking about what normally keeps you occupied, and your mind running and making up stories all day long. For that 30 minutes of an hour, you're focused on that, right? So that keeps your mind away from everything else, right? So that's actually good for stress management as well as emotional. You just know that, okay, you know what? 2 hours ago when I was taking a nap, I had that waves going in the background, like that really calmed me. Let me go back to that place, you know what I'm saying? For that split second. And then that might be what helps snap you out of it. So that's where those things work. And
Absolutely.
yeah, that's a great idea. So I do agree with that, Jen. Do you have any last few words before you go?
Actually, I do. While you were talking about that, it jogged my memory on something that I heard even today. I love watching those Carl Jung videos with those, the Machiavelli and the Stoicism and just
Mhm.
different things like that. They're just very helpful. But it said that and I did this in practice with a lot of my parents, with a lot of my students, that if I could see that they were visibly upset or over the phone or in person, anytime, I just would, if they're asking me questions, you don't have to respond right away. You can take a deep breath.
Right.
So, and you're coming at me, it's like, why did you do that? And I just sit there,
Pause.
gather your thoughts. Could you please clarify that? What exactly are you talking about? And if they're still visibly upset, you say, I think now's not a good time to discuss this right now. We'll come back, we'll circle back to it when you're in a better position, when we're both in a better position, had some time away from it. Right now is not a good time to talk because we're not, the communication's not getting through. I had a parent with me that was so upset. I'm holding the phone literally like this. And so I just, hung up because they're just like raging. And so the next day I just said, I'm just getting back with you because we lost connection. And, and it was in more ways than one, because there's no way that even if I would have stayed on, that I would have been able to connect because they were so upset and they weren't willing to hear what happened in the school. They just heard the only one side of the story and were triggered
Right.
and was not in a position to listen to what happened at school. So yeah, you can always delay that conversation for another time. Let's circle back to at another time. And very often you can get a lot farther
Yeah.
faster.
Good. Yeah, guys, listen to what Jen just said. You don't have to stay engaged in any kind of conversation that's going south. Walk away, hang up, take a deep breath, pause, ask them to repeat that. That's another hack. I'll end it with this, Jim. Another hack is when someone says something, comes at you like, kind of sideways, whatever. Take that deep breath, pause, and just ask them to repeat that. And then watch what happens.
Good one.
They probably won't repeat it because, like, what I just say, like, then they have to do it again. Like, most times,
What a
they
game
won't even
changer.
repeat it. They'll be like, oh, never mind, just like, that's a good way to end any kind of like, conversation or whatever like that.
On that note, I guess we'll just end this episode and move on to the next one on focus and concentration. So that's
Right.
what you get to look forward to next episode next week. All right. So stay curious and remember.
See you next time.